Welcome to Hack Your Career live stream. I'm Keith Wilson, the Director of Cybersecurity Education for AttackIQ. In this live stream, we are trying to introduce you to all sorts of different career stories and paths of people that have been in cybersecurity for a couple months, for a couple years, for a couple decades. We're bringing you all sorts of different levels of education and different roles. And today's guest is a friend of mine. He's a senior technical marketing architect for VMware, but you may know him better as a founder of the Virtually Testing Foundation. Please welcome Victor Monga. Victor, hey, how's it going, Victor?
Good to see you. Thanks
for
having me. Yeah, nice to see you too.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I've worked with Victor and Virtually Testing in their program for about a year and a half or so. So now in with you guys working with AttackIQ Academy, and Victor's got a very interesting career and career story. And what surprised me even more was kind of your community work, the work that you've done in the cybersecurity community, and I'll ask you more a bit about that later. But it's great to have you here, Victor. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
So let's kind of get into this quickly, right? I want to talk more about virtually testing in a little bit later in the interview, because I think that's super important for our listeners. So for our listeners, our viewers that are interested in internships and that sort of thing, I highly encourage you to stick around to learn more about virtually testing. We'll talk more about that at the end of this. And if you have any questions for Victor, please put them in chat and we'll try and get them answered for you. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with Victor's career before we get into the virtually testing stuff. What was it that made you want to get into security in the first place, Victor?
Yeah, I think I still consider myself, I'm trying to figure that out when I decided to get into security. Because again, security is not just about IT or tech, it's about social engineering as well. And I've always been an advocate of that. So in the beginning years, like I always try to find what is the easiest and shortest way to bypass whatever the controls that's set aside. So that could be in my college, my school, at school time, or when it comes to computer. So
you started that early. I'm assuming before you were in college, before you went to university, you had that hacker mentality. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say that I want to know the easiest path so I can jump through the hoop, so that I don't actually have to go through the hoop. So if you tell me there are 10 steps to go from point A to point B, I'm like, all right, let's shorten that. Let me just jump through point A to point B with one step. So that's, again, nothing technical. It's just the mindset that I'm lazy. At the end of the day, I want to get things done super quick, easy for me. And that just turned into spice of IT. And long behold, I'm here in cybersecurity industry.
So having that sort of mindset of being able to look at something of there's got to be an easier or a different way or better way to do this to almost any situation, right? Because I have that sometimes too, where I'll look at like opening a soda can. I'm like, there could be an easier way to do this where I may not have to use my finger and something just something like that, right? It's that mentality. Then you pair that with a little bit of technical knowledge of IT, and the interest that you had in that, and that began a security career.
And that's what it is. Yeah, at the end of the day, we call it hacks, right? But hacks doesn't have to be IT or digital or computer. Life hacks. It could be how you build your career. That could be a hack. Theme of our story today: hack your career. So
yeah, that's a good point, right? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to think of hacking in the pure technical cybersecurity sense of hacking. Yeah, it's more of a mindset. So we talked a bit about that mindset you had going into it, and you're currently at VMware. So I want to jump way ahead to where you are right now, and then we'll work our way up to that, right? So you are at VMware. What do you do in your current role at VMware?
Yeah, so my job is to actually go find new attacks, go simulate them in our infrastructure, and look at the detection, prevention, response using VMware security products. So network security, endpoint security, edge security, cloud security, virtualization security, you name it. Like we have plethora of solutions at VMware that tailor for security. So my job is to go find how the recent attacks actually get detected, prevented, responded using VMware products. So it's very exciting because it takes, I would say, like the recent one I was working on, it took me 30 days to actually recreate the whole 19 steps of the attack. But the actual when I'm showing it, it took me 3 minutes to showcase it. So, but during those 30 days, I learned a lot of things about different things that attack did, how to change it, and that's the mindset, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not just what I find on the internet or what I find online. I want to change it and add my experience to it so that as a hacker, what I would have thought when I'm doing that attack.
Yeah. So you're essentially, we talk about it at AttackIQ Academy. We talk about purple teaming exercises and how it's generally done between two groups of people, but you're almost doing it, in your own enclosed environment, right? So
Yep.
it's Victor is going, hey, I can go ahead and I think I can pop this box. Let me go ahead and exploit it. So he does the exploit. He pops the box and he goes, oh man, I shouldn't have been able to do that. Let me write the control for that or the detection, right? And then from that detection, you go, okay, well, let me see if I can pop it this way. So you change the rule a little bit and you go, okay, good. So let me go ahead and change that. So I get it. You're becoming a one-man purple team in this cycle here is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, and it's pretty exciting because first you go with what's available. You pick the well-known attack and you detonate it and you see what pops up. And then you're like, okay, you know what? That was the ideal case, but let me make tweaks and let me see what our products actually detect and prevent. And that's where the real value or my job comes in. What it's not about like the standard signatures or standard anomalies. Do something creative and see how product is still effective.
Yeah. But you didn't start there, right? Because that sounds like almost like a dream job, right? Like I know anybody getting into the industry right now goes, so you're telling me I get to exploit a system and basically do penetration tests all day long and write the other side of it too. Like I get to be a one-man purple team. That sounds amazing. Sign me up. But it probably took some steps to get there, aside from just education, right? Because the education's out there to be able to do that sort of things. But there's other experiences that play into that sort of thing as well. Now, did you have a particular area of cybersecurity that you tend to gravitate toward? Is there, a subgenre or something that you go, that's my jam. That's what I know and what I like and what I do.
Yeah, if I would have to pick, I would say network security. That's something that I gravitate. I know a lot of people actually get trained when they are troubleshooting networks. Like, hey, network is not working. I really enjoy it. That's really my jam. I made my career out of it because I really enjoy troubleshooting networks. And what it taught me, it's almost impossible to hide from network when you're an attacker, when you are actually trying to expel the data or you're coming in. It's almost impossible to actually hide from network because at the end of the day, what is connecting between an attacker and a victim? Network.
Right.
Yes, they want to steal your data. Yes, they want to steal your intellectual property. Yes, they want to disrupt your system. Yes, they want to launch a DDoS. But what is one thing connecting between an attacker and a victim? Network.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the configuration. Let me go and set up the network. It's not about the setup. It's about let me break it, and then let me find how it was broken, and then let me troubleshoot it. I think that's where I really enjoy it. And some of those things I would say to your point, like as a subgenre, network security would be my jam.
Interesting. I don't, you don't see too much network security stuff out there. I think a lot of it seems to be host based, and I think that's because it's easier to comprehend, right? To me, it's much more because it's a closed system, right? In order to learn host based exploitation, I need one machine, and that's it, essentially, right? Like I just need a Windows virtual machine, and I can technically hack that, right? But you need a bit more than that to do networking security because you've got to have some sort of lab set up to where you have one or more machines, right? You got to be able to monitor that network. You've got to have that network infrastructure. So it's interesting to hear that. What was there anything that kind of drove you that way? Was there something you did in your earlier days where you're like, yeah, like I'm a subnetting fool. I love to subnet, or I love writing, firewall rules, or I love writing routing. Was there something like that where you're just like, I love this so much that I want to add security on top of it?
Yeah, I'll admit to something on a live stream here that when I was in school and we all like at that time I was in India and data plans were not a thing on your phone and they were really expensive if they were. So we had a Wi-Fi, but that was privileged to executives only, and I wanted to watch movies, and so I really wanted to get to that Wi-Fi, and I had know nothing about networking, nor I was studying it, nor I was interested in it. I was interested in watching movies. I don't care how. I want to watch movies using that
It was just
Wi-Fi.
that hacker mentality
Exactly.
without the technical training in the background to okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Continue.
not. It
Go
was
ahead.
not about the network I want to learn. It's about I want to watch movies by
I
using the free Wi-Fi. So I
yeah.
started learning about Wi-Fi, the different protocols. I wanted to start learning about how the handshake works of the Wi-Fi, how the key phrase is exchanged, and how I can sniff it. So all of that, I did it on my own, reading through the books of Cisco because I actually saw the access point. It was Cisco. I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I know it was a Cisco Wi-Fi. Let me go find. And back in the days, there was not that many models. So by just
Mm.
looking at the picture from the book, I could find out what the model is. And that was it. That's how I got into networking because it was not something that was easily accessible and I wanted it. And that's how I learned it. And that's always been a journey for me that it's not about learning the technology, it's about my use case. And then I go and learn it. So
Yeah, so for you, the technology doesn't even matter. It's more of a how can I do this easier? And if technology helps, then great. Let's add some technology in there.
yeah, yeah, as long as
Huh.
it serves my purpose. And again, the mentality, right? Technology is going to change. I can tell you, I can assure you, 2002, when I started network security or even networking, it was different game. What we have today between software defined networking, cloud networking, the concept, the fundamentals have changed a little bit as well when it comes to cloud networking. Again, my point is if I want to get to someone's EC2 instance, I want to get to someone's virtual machine, I want to actually get open, build something to actually make almost lay off the land. How can I do it? And
Mhm.
then technology just you just continue learning on it.
Interesting thoughts. So, you talked about how you learned the
Yep,
Wi-Fi, right? And I'm sure there were struggles with that.
a lot.
We don't necessarily need to focus on that, but let's pick one thing in your career that you struggled with. I want to know what it was and what you did about it.
I would say testing, having the gear on at my own fingertips where I can go and test it. It's easy to say that I want to learn and I want to gain hands-on experience. To your point, what you just said, right? It's not just about one computer, especially in networking. It's not easy, and given the current affairs like you have between the Kubernetes and the cloud, like not everybody has access to all of that. So from my early age, I felt that the one struggle was even though I got a hang of it, I need to test it. I need to develop it. Where do
Mhm.
I go test it? You don't have access points laying around. They are enterprise
That's right.
grade products. You don't have controllers laying around. You don't have access to lot licensing that goes with it. It's not just the hardware. So
Yeah, even if you bought so for those that don't know, even if you bought something off eBay, a piece of hardware off eBay
yeah,
for $5, right? And you go, oh man, this is an amazing deal. This is an enterprise Wi-Fi access point. You get this $5 piece of hardware and you can't use it because the license is $50,000,
yes, yep.
right? So it makes it very hard to learn enterprise grade things. Yeah, I'm sorry, Victor. Go ahead.
No, and vendors actually bet on that. They don't actually make money off of the hardware. They actually make money off of the software.
Right.
Personal example, recently I bought a couple of switches off eBay and I was really excited. Like, yes, finally I got these switches. And lo and behold, I realized they don't have the right licenses I need to do what I actually bought it for. So there
Hmm.
you go. Catch 22. So that was one of the struggles that I really faced in my career, that where do I get my hands on so that I can get the experience, that the skills I am building, how do I know if I'm building it right? How do I know I got it right or wrong? Mistakes are important in life. I
Hmm.
must make mistakes to learn. But in order to make mistakes, I need to have somewhere where I can make the mistakes. So that was my struggle.
So what did you do about that?
We formed our own organization called Virtually Testing.
Okay, so we'll come. We're getting to virtually testing because I'm sure there's some people that heard internships when we first started and that piqued their interest.
Yeah.
So I promise we're getting there. But I do want to talk about Victor's community involvement a bit too. So Victor, you're an active and participating member of ISACA. And
Yes.
for those that aren't familiar, can you tell me a little bit more about what ISACA is and how your time there has benefited your career?
Yeah. So ISACA is, I would say, the biggest and well-known world organization who actually certify auditors. So you work for a large organization, corporations, they all have to go through compliance. You heard about PCI, HIPAA, GDPR, CCPA, you name it. But who is actually making sure your company is actually at par for it? Who's making sure that you actually can go and pass the compliance? So that's where the auditors comes in, who really understand the compliance, who really understand that the requirements. So there are certain positions called internal auditors. ISACA really focus on those. Make sure
Mhm.
that you get internal auditor who's certified from ISACA, who understand these compliances and make sure that when you actually go and tell the government that, hey, can you make sure that I'm PCI compliant? Your internal auditor or team of auditors had made sure that you actually can have those check boxes.
Sure.
So my time at ISACA as volunteer, I served as past president, currently serving as governor. It really helped me with two things. That cybersecurity is not about techies. Cybersecurity is not just about ITs. It is compliance security is also a part which plays with cybersecurity. So the bridge between the compliance security and actual, I would say, tactical security is where we lose people. Either you're on the one side of the spectrum where you only compliance and you only care for the checkbox, or you only care for if you have the policy procedure, or you're on the other side that I made my firewall secure, or I'm doing everything but I can on the IT side. I don't care what happens in the compliance side.
Well, it could be argued that's two different personality types for each, right?
Yeah,
Compliance is more of the accountant type, right?
yeah,
Where an accountant would thrive in compliance, where a techie would thrive in cyber.
correct.
Yeah.
Personally, which helped me that to see the both sides. Now I can speak really intelligently when I'm speaking to compliance people. I don't use the techie words or geeky words because that's not relevant. Know your
Mhm.
audience, right? We always say it when you're speaking to someone, know your audience. Same goes for on the other side. I'm talking to an IT administrator or IT architect that I will use the words that, hey, as based of PCI compliance, we need microsegmentation. Let's talk about the network segmentation. Let's talk about how we can achieve it. So the conversations for me personally, it really enlightens me for both sides. It enables me, makes me effective. And that's what my passion, right? I want to be effective of helping
Mhm.
everyone from all sides to achieve this cybersecurity.
Now, aside from Isaka, you volunteer a lot of time. Just going back and looking at your LinkedIn, you've volunteered a lot of time in the security community. Now, is this something you would recommend to others looking to start or grow their career in cybersecurity?
Yeah, before I answer that, I'll say why I volunteered or why I considered giving my time for free. Again, going back to the mentality, when I was actually looking at the jobs and looking at where I want to be, um, I was not getting a whole lot of options because I didn't have enough connections. Networking is a key, and we'll talk about it in a minute here. But I figured being within community, it really helps because then you actually learn about the different jobs, different talent, skills, what's going on in the market, how you can be current. So I started being involved communities by giving my time. It was not a choice, something that I wanted to do at the beginning. I really thought that if I'm giving my time, I should get paid,
Mhm.
but I needed it again to hack my career, to get in front of the people and meet the people and meet the connections. So I started giving it, and it really paid back in lot many ways that I can describe on this call.
Just not monetary. You
Just
didn't
not,
get that immediate paycheck.
nope. You
Right.
will not see the paycheck. You will never see the paycheck. Actually, let me make sure that I said you will never see the paycheck, but what you will see is whole lot, which is complementary to your own career.
Of
So
course.
again, the mindset was I needed to make connections. How do I do it? Let's hack my way into it. Community was the way into it. But I really enjoyed it because not only it made me realize that it had all these connections that I can be part of now. I also learned a lot. I started getting mentorship from a lot of other people,
Hmm.
and that made me that, hey, you know what? Some people gave me the time. I want to give my time back to others. Even maybe if not all my time is appreciated, but even if I can help someone, one person, I think that's well paid off for me.
Yeah, and I think that's a good cycle that everybody should take when they get to that point in their career, right? In the beginning, yeah, help where you can, but you're not going to be able to help and mentor people as you're just starting out and growing. But you are going to get to a certain point, to like what Victor just said, where you go, you know what? There were a lot of people that helped me out to
Yeah.
get to where I am. Let me reach back and see who I can bring forward with me and who I can help out. And I think that's a great sort of cycle to be in.
Yeah. And and
Um, Go
and
ahead.
a lot of times people have asked me like, how many hours are feasible, or how many hours should I commit? You know what? 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. If that's what you can afford and that's what you can, start somewhere. It's not about how much, it's about the mentality that you want to give back. It could be
Mhm.
as simple as you have one mentor, a mentee, and you just want to help them 5 minutes every now and then. You give them a call that, hey, how are you? You just check in. Tell them your industry trends, what you're looking at. Tell them the reports that you're reading these days from Deaver Report or other reports that you're looking at. Tell them the podcast you're listening that help you with your job. Simple things. Doesn't have to be too fancy, but if you get to it, then obviously you get into leadership roles at communities that really helps you as well along with the community.
Yeah. All right. Now I feel like we have to talk about virtually testing now because we've talked about mentorship and networking, which tie in really well, right?
Yeah.
So we have to talk about virtually testing now. Can you tell our audience what virtually testing is and what you guys do?
I'll give you the short version of it. It's a safe place for people to come in and explore whatever talent skills that you want and get hands-on experience through internships, projects, workshops, trainings. Longer version, like the co-founder of Virtue Testing, along with me, we had the same problem where we didn't have enough gear, enough technology, enough ways to test what we wanted to. So we ended up founding this nonprofit organization where companies, large organizations, they actually donate their money or even their gear for technology or licenses or products to actually go and test. Can be that simple. So the long version is that if you're looking for an internship, if you have talent, and we always have this simple way, write down your current skills, write down your future goals, look at the gap, come to virtual testing, start exploring it. That could be IT or non-IT. If you want to be a manager, if you want to be a HR manager, you need to know how to resolve conflicts. You're not going to get that by reading a book or watching a YouTube video. You need to sit in a conflict. Someone actually have to come to you and tell you that I hate working with my coworker. What do I do? I'm going to quit otherwise. That's where people freeze. First time as an HR manager or even HR associate, what do? Same goes for IT. You could be the best hacker. You could be the best penetration tester. You could be the best red teamer. If you don't know how to write a report, if you don't know actually how to write an email, if you don't know how to present, you you won't be effective.
Right. Yeah.
That's where the whole hands-on experience and working culture comes in. That if you don't have it, that's where the safe place is to come explore.
So how do our listeners get involved if they want to get involved with virtually testing?
Yeah, simple. Go to website virtuallytestingfoundation.org or join the Virtual Testing Foundation Discord or look at LinkedIn, Virtual Testing Foundation, Facebook, LinkedIn, all sorts of social media.
Just
Just
search
go.
virtually testing foundation.
That's it.
Yeah.
You'll find a way to come join us. And again, there's no membership fee. There's no cost. We're not selling the data. We're not selling any products. We're not selling any service. All of what we are doing is for community, by the community. All of our people who are actually on the staff to actually help out, they're all volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have overhead cost.
Yeah, and so I can say I personally worked with virtually testing before because you guys did modules through AttackIQ Academy
Yes.
on purple teaming and breach and attack simulation, stuff like that. And I really like what you guys do, because you didn't just say, okay, go take the AttackIQ training, just go watch their videos. It was, go take the AttackIQ training, but we're going to talk about this, right? Mm-hmm. So then you would add your mentor would come in over the top and have conversations with the interns about the training that they just did. And you guys would write up other exercises, and they would do all sorts of other stuff. It was a really, really interesting concept. And I've always enjoyed working with Victor and the interns at Virtually Testing, because it really is exposing this whole new generation of people to purple teaming and stuff like that. And you have people in there that are at all sorts of levels, right? There's no criteria to join this. It can be anybody.
Yeah, and I'll just give a quick way how the internships work. So let's say we actually reach out to a bunch of different vendors or companies, organizations, but people like AttackIQ Academy, who are open-minded and want to give back to the community, we partner with them. And the way it works is go in, take their training, then come back. Actually, we're going to have a call where you're going to explain what you actually learned. That's where you also work on the interpersonal skills. We're going to form in the teams where you're actually going to work on a project that you report that these 3 modules you have gone through. Now you will actually go in, how can we improve it? That's, again, the skills of what do I do to improve it? Because companies are not going to pay you to go do these cyclic things. Right. You're going to actually have to come back and be like, what can we improve? You have to improve the business. You have to increase the revenue. So again, at the end of the day, how can you do all of that if not by getting the hands-on experience? And networking is the key. As part of internship, you would have to actually go connect with people like Keith Wilson. You have to follow them. You have to listen to them. So I know it's forced.
You are forced to talk to me and listen to more of me.
People loved it. You know, they never knew that they could actually get that kind of information. The post that you put it on your LinkedIn or Twitter, they actually now have a network. Mm-hmm. Now, actually, if a recruiter actually go look at this, let's say Jane Doe profile, he or she can see that, okay, this guy is connected with Keith Wilson. This guy is connected also listening on AttackIQ Academy. This guy posted these 3 certificates. There's activity. There's now networking. Yeah. And where is hiring happening these days? Do you really think people send resumes? I don't think so. 7% people are looking on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, I know I use LinkedIn a lot when I'm looking for full-time employees, and if I'm looking for like contractor instructors too. I scout LinkedIn all the time. And networking super important, especially the further you get into your career, the higher up you get in the levels of your career, the more important networking becomes, because those jobs don't necessarily get even posted online. Sometimes they're just available, and it's the network of people that know about it that get to interview for it, and that's it. So networking, incredibly important in that aspect. Now, something I want to talk about too, really kind of to help sell this a bit more for those that aren't sold on virtual testing. Can you talk about some of the accomplishments that some of the interns from Virtually Testing have had, like any sort of job stories or anything like that you can share with us?
Yeah, so last year we did a program for 3 months with AttackIQ Academy where people learned about MITRE. We had about, I would say, 1,200 interns in that cohort. And cohort are the people who are actually enrolled in internship. But anybody can go in and actually go and look at our Discord communication, and they can see what we are doing weekly. But they can't commit to the cohort. They can't commit to the time, personal or professional reasons. Quite fine.
So they get read-only access.
Yeah, read-only access. So what happened, this one guy actually was reading through all the weekly assignments, and he was doing it along with our cohort. And he reached out to us after 10 weeks, and he said, you know what? Now I really understood MITRE, and I cracked this interview. I won't name the company. He cracked this interview because he took all the AttackIQ Academy program that Virtually Testing Foundation internship did it. And I asked him, like, how come you didn't know about MITRE before? He said, you know what? I have heard of it. I just didn't have the program. I'd never had the actual program set for me the way I should learn and build those assignments. He had the training. He knew where to go find it.
He didn't have the guidance.
He had so much going on in training. You can Google MITRE attack, and I'm sure there's a 77,000 results will come in. But where do I go learn, and what do I do with it? Because during the training or during the internship, we also asked them, Now you go actually use it. Either tell us like how APT6 is actually gonna map it with the MITRE framework. Use the TTPs, whatever those exercises are. He really understood it. So one of the really like funny story is that he was not even part of the internship, and yet he got the job based on internship read-only access.
Well, that's great. That's awesome. So, I mean, if that doesn't sell you, so somebody who didn't even fully participate in the internship, just read what others were participating in, that helped him get a job. Yep. So if that doesn't sell virtually testing, I don't know what does.
I'll share one more.
Okay.
So we did cloud security for AWS as well. And this person actually, she was a single mom, and she quit working about 10 years ago, and she was getting back into the groove, and she heard that cloud is a big thing these days. So she joined our internship, and she told us that, hey, I'm beginner level. I don't know anything about cloud, IT a little bit. She was sysadmin back in the days. And we're like, you know what? That's fine. That's the whole point. You will get the time flexibility. You had to work on your own hours. Don't worry about it. You have a kid. We really understand. I know I understand. I'm a 10 months old. So I understand that time flexibility I needed for learning and training. But now we gave her the program and channel her energy into learning something weekly by weekly. She achieved it. She actually got a job at AWS.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love these career success stories too, especially for people that are trying to do that, either that career shift or if they're new to cyber, like that. It's so good when you hear somebody go, I got that job, right? Like, cause that first one always seems to be the hardest to pop.
Because once you KPI. That is literally our KPI, to actually go and make sure that first, you enjoyed internship. Second, give us feedback how to improve it. Third, what did you do after? Did you get a job? Did you start your own business? Because there are a lot of people actually, they start their own business after going through internship because they realize that they don't want to go through the job. They don't want to work for someone. They want to start their own product by now they have the personal skills. They have the confidence. They have built it as part of the internship. They go start their own business because now they can sell in front of executives.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Such great stories. Now, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. This is a question from our Informed Defenders community. So for those of you that aren't familiar with AttackIQ and Informed Defenders, if you take a class at AttackIQ Academy, you can invite to Informed Defenders. Informed Defenders is a great community that we have that you can participate in, different security chats and things like that that we have. But you also earn points for doing all these different challenges. You even earn points for taking our classes and taking the surveys for our classes. And you can trade in those points for gift cards and all sorts of cool prizes that we have on there. So this was one of the discussions that we had in our Informed Defenders community. We wanted to get some questions for Hack Your Career. So one of the questions that was submitted is, assuming a person wants to pursue a career in cybersecurity, but has a zero or very limited investment budget, which path would you recommend?
Yeah, I get that a lot, first of all. And our mindset is really that budget should not be the limitation for you to grow your skill, your talent, and really grow into cybersecurity industry. First, I would say itemize it. Like within cybersecurity, what would you like to do? And if you don't know, that's quite all right. Go test and try. As I said, I must fail to grow. That's my mentality. So try a little bit about network security. Try a little bit about endpoint security, Windows, Linux. Don't start with always that, okay, I must learn Kali Linux to hack. Yes, that you're going to get there eventually, but you need to get the fundamentals. So for cybersecurity, first you need to understand IT side or non-IT side. If IT side, within IT side, red teamer, blue teamer. Red would be breaking things, blue would be defending, and that could be different flavors of your current skills. Again, if you don't know any of that, start with AttackIQ Academy, take the courses. You will get a hang of red team and blue team, and finally start saying yes. Yes to what? There are so many labs out there for free. I know I can promote one for VMware. VMware Hands-on Labs is a free platform for anyone to go explore it. What that's going to tell you, it's not going to give you everything what you want to learn, but it's going to give you a hang of that IT side of it. Once you get it, go take other free labs that once you build your appetite for either red team, blue team, there are so many labs. If you don't have it, that's quite all right. Come to Virtually Testing Foundation. We can give you one. The point is, start saying yes. That would be the way to go. You don't need a budget. You don't need a budget to learn. That should not be limiting you. I don't know if that was a long-winded answer, Keith.
No, it's a good answer. Yeah, there are plenty of free resources out there now. And I remember how difficult it used to be even to just like find and run virtual machines for different environments. And just finding all the, like, YouTube is an endless source of knowledge in cybersecurity and cool little tutorials and things that you can do. There's tons of books out there that contain tutorials, but I mean, so much free content online that didn't exist even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's an excellent point. So Victor, I want to thank you for being on the show today. For those that are interested in virtually testing, you can Google virtually testing. They're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. They have a website, all that good stuff. So Google virtually testing if you're interested. I highly recommend working with them. Victor and the people at Virtually Testing are great people. So not on our last show, but the one before that, I believe we introduced Kareen, and Kareen is our head of global talent acquisition at AttackIQ. We're bringing her back again. Kareen, thanks for being back on. And Kareen's going to offer her advice to those of you out there looking for a new role in cybersecurity. Kareen, what can you tell us?
Yeah, thanks, Keith. And what a pleasure hearing more about Victor and his journey. Lots of things to dig into there. I want to take a moment to address the skills gap because it sounds like, everything that virtual testing is doing with their initiatives is really supporting kind of closing that skills gap. So what is a skills gap? According to SHRM, a skills gap is when the workforce of today simply does not have enough workers and high-skilled candidates to fill an ever-increasing number of high-skilled jobs. So that's something that the workforce of today is contending with. And why is that important? A high-quality workforce is the most important indicator of business success. So this is definitely something that both candidates and employers are paying attention to. And I loved hearing from Victor about how he connected to his career journey, especially his anecdote about, hey, I didn't really know anything about networking. I just wanted to watch free movies. And so in that way, I want to connect that to like, what do I do about it if I want to gain these skills, but I don't know where to go or who to reach out to? And I think there's something to be said for thinking less about the career path sometimes, and sometimes thinking more about the action and the skill that you actually want to gain. So I love the way that Victor sketched out, really identifying the inventory of skills that you might need to accomplish something, and always making sure to connect that desired skill to a passion of yours to make sure that, hey, is this something I really want to learn? Is this a path that I want to go down? And then last kind of little pointer here is to never forget how important those soft skills are. So Victor talked about the importance of being able to communicate and work well with team members, how to present your ideas clearly in a written format, like in an email, even how to engage with someone courteously over Slack, addressing people by their first name, saying good morning. These are really small things that, are skills that sometimes we don't always identify. So that's it for me today, but I really appreciate everyone tuning in today to Hack Your Career. And again, skills gap, it's a lot less intimidating than how it sounds.
Well, Kareen, thank you so much for being on. Victor, again, thank you very much. Check out Virtually Testing. Remember to come back in 2 weeks for the next Hack Your Career. We'll have another great guest on, Victor, Kareen, and the audience. Thank you again for listening. I hope everybody enjoyed today's show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Take care.